everybody, and welcome back to the Blu-ray Hunter. I'm the Blu-ray Hunter, Jonathan Moody, and welcome back to Physical Media Chat, where I'm going to be chatting with another Blu-ray Hunter here. Please welcome Huck from Huck's Pop Culture Cafe.
How y'all
Got it.
doing? Hey man, that was really good. Nailed it.
Yeah, I was a little nervous about that
It's a
because, like,
mouthful.
yeah, it is a little bit of a mouthful. I do the Indie Film Cafe, and that's a little easier. There's only three, like, small words,
Yeah. It's all about the cafe, man. It's an inviting place where you can sit, hang, and chill,
We were
grab a
originally going
drink,
to
grab
do
a snack.
ours in a cafe, and
That would be
then
fun to actually do that.
it would, and we actually have one in mind, and it's a friend of mine's cafe, but we were like, no. We found
You
a
know,
studio, so we just did it as a studio.
it's so funny because at one point I kept trying to figure out if I had a bigger place. I was like, oh, can I build my like office area into a cafe? With like a little table in the back and then the window. But that would take up too much space to just commit to that type of background. Then I would lose movie space. So I'm like, all right, we'll fake it.
That's the exact problem with our studios. We have all the like a lot of our DVDs and everything are there. All my Blu-rays are here, at my house, but like all the DVDs, because I got a billion of them,
Right.
been collecting those since forever. That's basically what we're going to talk about. So to begin with, to the first question here off the bat is, when did you start getting into collecting physical media, like DVDs, movies, all that stuff?
It's funny. I've just been a movie fan all my life, and so just the acquisition of film came when VHS rolled around. That's how old I am, man. We had VHS players and recorders in the house, and so I would record movies off TV. I remember recording the 2-day event of Superman the movie on the fly, mind you. That's how good I got. I could because I could tell when the commercials were coming. I could tell when they were about to end, and I would unpause. So it was like a one generation down copy. And then so my collection was just built of things I was recording. And then when movies started to come out at that sweet 19.99 price, and look, it is crazy how that has been sort of the sweet spot since the 80s. 19.99. That's that price that when you hit that, people will buy it. So it's interesting that I mean it's a little bit more expensive now. Like Blu-rays and 4Ks, they're just so much higher, especially steelbooks. But yeah, so it started in the 80s and then I got into Laserdisc. I'm always the guy that jumps on the next format. So everyone has,
So you actually
people
did
like
collect Laserdisc.
I did. I have quite a few. I had about 100 laser discs. And with those going at like 40 bucks a pop, that's not cheap. So
Right.
that's good box sets too. I had the Star Wars box set, the big massive hunk and $250 box set, and then a Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters box. That was about $100,
Back
and it
then.
had all their movies.
Back then when you first bought it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There was no secondhand thrift store for
Well,
those.
nowadays you buy those boxes and they're like not $100. So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
they're pretty cheap. And it's weird now because like I don't know how it's like where you're at, but like here thrift stores are getting rid of their, DVDs, not, they're not collecting as much for us.
Yeah, they are going away. It's funny because I have one that I go to a lot. Wimby's is the name of it, and the lady Trace there knows me when I come in. She's like, she'll even look at me. She goes, "Up, got nothing new for you." Like she'll just know and then wave me off. I'm like, "Thank you," and then I won't even pull my phone out and start shooting or anything like that. Or she'll be like, a couple things. But they got hit with a flood. Like they were building
Oh,
a building right next to her, and they hit a pipeline, and it flooded the wall that the movies were on. Like of all the walls, that was the wall it hit, and so they had to close down for almost 3 months, and they've just not had media back since. So
oof.
my one go-to place for super cheap, other than the swap meet that I try to go to once in a blue moon, on the Sunday, uh, it's kind of fading away too. So,
You were like, why not the clothes? Or
right?
something
Yeah, yeah.
else, that you don't
Jewelry.
like.
Yeah.
Jewelry. Who needs jewelry? Whatever.
And it's funny because oddly enough, there's another thrift store just 3 doors down from them. There's her, and then laundromat, something else, and then another one. And that place wasn't hit. And that one
Oh,
doesn't always have a lot of stuff. So it's like, oh man, if only it was the other way around.
yeah, it was the
Yeah,
other place that got hit with all the media and stuff, and not
I
that
know.
place. Ugh, that
But I did
sucks.
go into that other place today, and they had quite a few things. I also learned that Monday through Thursday before 2 p.m. I didn't know about the before 2 p.m. part. It's like 25% off all your purchases. And
Nice.
I almost snagged a whole bunch of Blu-rays and DVDs today, and I got all greedy because I thought, well, wait, you know what? I'll just take my chances. I'll come back Monday before 2 and then see if I can get these even cheaper. And it's only
Nice.
like 99 cents for the DVDs and $4 for a Blu-ray. But last time I went in, I didn't realize I was there before that time, and it was going to cost me $5 for what I bought, and it was only 350. I'm like, what? And then they reminded me, oh yeah, we have our sale. So that's what I love. I love getting the deals, man.
See, it's so funny because so many people are like, "Oh, physical media is gonna die because streaming is more popular or whatever," all this crap. And granted, streaming is way more popular, than physical media collecting. But damn, do I still love going out there and buying stuff rather than streaming.
Well, it's the thrill of the hunt too. you know
Huh.
like sometimes I'll even go into Best Buy to, even knowing full well it's the same, there's nothing new, but like maybe something got out on the floor. I'm like, it's the same stuff. So even making a video on that isn't really a thing. If you go in too often, it almost has to be every week so that there's new product. But yeah, there's something great about getting out there, seeing the thing you want, and then snagging it. Or sometimes you just wait. Patience is a virtue too, because things do go on sale sometimes just a week or two after they were released. So if you can like calm down and not go for it so quickly, you can save a few bucks. And
Do you
that's
go
good
to
too.
libraries?
I have one nearby. Yeah. I don't go there often because they don't, when they do a sale, they don't, I rarely see movies. Like they have movies to rent, which is fine.
Right.
But I always see people say, "Oh, I went to my library and they were selling everything." I'm like, every time I go, there's like maybe just DVDs for sale, and it's never anything good. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
I'm a little bit more picky on my DVDs,
yeah.
like I try to find stuff that's not on Blu-ray. I don't know if you do this, but like,
Oh yeah,
I'll try to find DVDs that are not on Blu-ray. And I'll try to find uh Blu-rays that aren't on 4K, and then 4K I'll find whatever. Well, actually I'm
right.
pickier on my 4Ks now. Like I'm like, do I really want that on 4K or could I get that on
Yeah,
Blu-ray and just keep it like that? Because
yeah,
do I need the Gun and Betty Lou's handbag, which I just bought, on 4K? Would I need that on 4K?
yeah. Do
Probably
you?
not if they ever put that out there. It's not
Right.
out there, I don't think, but I'm just saying.
Uh,
But like Ferris
if
Bueller's
it
Day
were,
Off, like everybody's going crazy about it. I was like, it's cheap. It's like $22 on 4K. I'm like, that's cheaper than, a lot of the other movies. And I'm like, is Ferris Bueller really a movie I need on 4K? Is it? Like, what do you think?
yeah. It's funny, dude. That becomes a conversation I have with myself all the time, which is like, just because it's on 4K doesn't mean you have to upgrade. And I think as a collector, you get in that mindset of, I got to have the best version of everything. I'm like, well, I mean, you don't. I mean, maybe some people do, but I really do think if you love your Blu-ray and that's good enough, it looks fine. Try not to get sucked into that replace everything with the next higher format, because you'll sometimes just sit with what you have. Like look around, like I look around all these Blu-rays, I'm like, I love these. And I
Yeah.
don't have to have the 4K of especially a comedy. Sometimes it's, and I heard that it looks great and the sound is the best that Ferris has ever looked. So I'm like, okay, having heard that, maybe I'll wait for like a Black
Black
Friday sale.
Friday,
And
yeah.
if it's a $10 4K, guess what? I love Ferris. I'll probably do it. But yeah, like you, like 23, and I haven't had the sudden urge to want to watch Ferris all of a sudden, and
Right.
so it's like, well, if I do, I got the Blu-ray right here. In fact, I
Yeah.
have probably two Blu-ray. I got several copies of that movie.
And it's probably streaming on Max or
Oh,
something
sure.
anyway.
I'm
And
sure.
that's the thing, like I'll still watch streaming stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
streaming's
easier
great.
for me sometimes where I'm just like I don't want to look for the movie, in my
I
collection. I
can't
can
bother to
just
get up.
yeah, I don't want to just get up and I'm lazy today. I'm gonna go watch. Like I'll do that. And plus, like with streaming, I get it. Like it can't skip, and it doesn't have that like problem. It's just the only problem is like the internet goes out or
Yeah,
you
or
know.
it could buffer once in a while. I've had a show I'm watching go. I'm like, oh, come on, like, don't do it.
Well, the worst part is watching something on Tubi and it being
Yeah.
like super slow in some way or whatever, like the commercials.
Oh
Like
yeah.
we did that once. We had to review a movie. I was in Las Vegas with a friend. We were reviewing a movie and it took like forever and it would stop and then it would buffer, then it would stop and it
Oh
would buffer.
no.
And so it took us like 4 hours to watch an hour and a half long movie. Like it
Good
was
Lord.
ridiculous.
That's that
And then we
that'll
didn't end
mess
up
with the
doing the
movie.
review either. Like then we did it later because like just like
Yeah,
yeah, we don't have
because
time.
that would affect your enjoyment of the film too. It's like,
I
so how
know.
was it? Well, I don't know. I'm kind of cranky that we had to, pause so much.
Well, it was Lamageddon, so yeah,
It was Armageddon, or what'd you call it?
Lamageddon.
Lamageddon.
Yeah, we
So it's a
do
bunch.
like Indie Film Cafe. We do a show called What the F Fridays where we watch like wacky, weird stuff that you're like, what is this? And
Uh-huh.
that movie wasn't as wacky as I thought it was gonna be.
Didn't live up to its name.
It didn't live. It was okay. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, I thought it was gonna be like wackier, I think the problem is they knew what they were doing. And so sometimes when that happens, they kind of it gets too like wink wink, with the
Yeah. Too
audience. And
meta.
it's
Yeah.
not as much fun. Like Full Moon knows how to do that and be less wink winky, but anyway. What is your like what's your favorite boutique label to like check out?
Well, I mean, like, I definitely feel like Arrow and Scream do some great releases, but I also feel like sometimes we've been waiting on Scream for a while. I don't feel like there's been a ton of great stuff from them lately. Whereas I feel like Kino Lorber is probably
Hmm.
my favorite because they just have the biggest array of things to pick from. They got dramas and comedies and sci-fis and just, you know what I mean? Like they don't just pigeonhole themselves into one thing. Plus, they're also doing 4Ks. And yes, when they do a release, they may not have as many bonus features as like a huge Arrow release or a Scream Factory thing. But in the end, it is just about the movie. So if it's, well, I'm not going to get the movie on Blu-ray, or you can get the movie on Blu-ray through Kino with maybe one or two bonus features. I'll take that, I'll
Right.
take that over not getting the movie. So yeah, Kino's probably up there for me right now. Although I did just get a super sweet that Arrow box set, the video store, the
Nice.
Empire of Screams. Got so lucky on that. Yeah.
Which one is that? Is that like because
Well, here, let me see if I can pull it into camera because I got the background on. So it's this thing here.
I mean I saw that, but and I think I saw your video, but I didn't watch the wasn't able to watch the whole thing on it, but
Yeah.
like I guess you did an unboxing
Yeah, and
of it
speaking of
there.
like full moon, it's very full moon kind of titles. So it's like
Oh no,
Arena.
those are no. Oh yeah, those are Empire. Yeah. Charles Band produced,
Yeah, yeah.
movies.
Sorry, it's
Yeah.
all glitching out.
So
But yeah,
they were all pre Full Moon, you
yeah,
know.
and they definitely feel like full moon. It's very cheesy stuff, but entertaining. I just finished another one today. I watched Dolls today,
Yeah,
and I'd
great
never
movie.
seen Dolls, and it was pretty good.
I watched that a couple years ago for the
Yeah,
first time, and it's Stuart Gordon.
yeah,
So like
yeah, yeah.
you know, and I just watched Dagon, the other day too. Like I don't think I've ever seen a movie that was bad from Stuart Gordon. Like,
Really?
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think so. Even he wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
nice.
like he's such a powerhouse of a or was, unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he was such a powerhouse of an like, person, like you knew he was going to make something that was going to be at least entertaining, you know, nothing bad. So I don't think, you know, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how you are with like B movies. Do you like B movies?
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up with B movies. Part of the fun of going, obviously like Blockbuster and video stores in general were a thing. I even worked at a video store.
I
That
did
was
too.
one of my first job was at a movie theater, and then my second job was in a video store,
I was the
and
exact
I
opposite.
managed.
I worked at a video store, then later worked at movie
Yeah.
tavern. Yeah.
So you can't keep it out of our blood, man. When it's there, it's there. That's just where you gravitate towards. That's where you want to look for work because you surround yourself with the stuff you like.
Yeah.
And yeah, the place I worked at was a mom and pop shop, wasn't a Blockbuster. And they had 4 stores. So it tells you about the size of it. And I got to work at 3 out of the 4 because I was one of those guys that would go out on the floor and ask you if you needed help finding something, if it looked like you were like, because I just watched a lot of movies and I usually did really well. And that's why I worked at so many different stores. He was like, okay, sales are up here. Okay, we're pulling you out. You're going to go that other store where the sales are down. And then I'd pick the sales up there and then he'd pull me out again.
And I wish I
So,
was
yeah,
like that. They just send me to other stores because nobody showed up for work, So they're like, "Hey, you need to go to store 79 because they don't have they don't have as many people." I'm like, "All right." And I would go to store 79, do that, and then, whatever.
so
It was
same thing for you. So you would perk up the sales like
I
you.
don't think I perked up anything. I think I just worked. Like I'm like Randy from Scream. I got fired twice.
Oh,
From
there
a
you
video
go.
store. Yeah, because that's
That's
what the line in Scream is. He's like,
yeah.
I thought the video store fired your sorry ass. He goes, twice. I just never got
Nice.
that third time coming back. I was like, I was done. I miss it, very much. Like right now, I would take a job working at a video store in a second, you know.
Yeah. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
And getting back to your point about B movies. So yeah, part of the fun is walking up and down those aisles and being a horror and sci-fi fan. Those covers, especially those sometimes the straight to VHS, straight to video titles are the ones that you'd look at more because, oh, you've seen all the ones that are in the theater, but it's those other ones with the great looking cover. And you look at that cover and like, oh, I got to see this. And half the time it probably wouldn't live up to what the cover was, but that's the brilliance of a great cover. So yeah, I mean, it was fun to discover those B movies. Oh,
Sadly, that's not the case anymore. For a lot
yeah.
of movies, they all look the same, you know, these days, and they're just generic to me. I don't know. Um,
It's those Photoshop covers, man.
you
There's
know,
no
I
art
even like
behind
the
it.
heads, the floating heads, you know, like I always
No, you
like
don't.
that.
No, you
Yeah,
don't.
I
No,
love
no.
Scream, and I love I know what you did last. I love Urban Legend. All of those movies were the floating heads
I
and
can't
everything. I
stand
I was
floating.
into that. That was my thing. It looked bad, but it was
Yeah.
fun. It was fun to like.
But it got your attention. That's
Well,
good.
yeah, it would be like, who are the four celebrities or so that they'd have as the floating heads, and then sometimes they have the B movies do that, and I'm like, I don't recognize a soul
Yeah,
on
see,
them.
that's when you don't need to do the floating heads. That's when you need a splashy cover because there is no celebrity
Yeah.
head to sell it. Or the thing I hate most about floating heads is say it's like Ben Affleck and Morgan Freeman in the movie, and so there's their 2 heads, but then because of like how they got their names on the poster, over Ben Affleck is Morgan Freeman's name, and then over Morgan Freeman is Ben Affleck's name
I forget
because
how.
on the contracts they have it that someone's name comes first. So we'll just say it's Ben Affleck's name comes first. And then but on the poster, they'll flip the images so that they trade off whose image comes first. And it's a completely contractual thing, but
I
it
didn't know
looks
that was.
absolutely terrible on a cover.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's why they did that.
Yeah,
I
because why don't you just put that person's name over that person? It just
I
looks
just
better.
thought the people were dumb who did
We're
it. I
dumb.
don't know. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
how
mean,
I
yeah,
just
there
viewed it.
could be that.
Yeah.
But
I
no,
just it was like they don't know who the person is. I'm like, that
yeah,
Morgan
no,
Freeman
it is a
is not a white
contract thing.
guy.
Whose name comes first? It's the because I did one. If I did a B movie myself called Steel Frontier. So if you ever want to see a Mad Max type movie, I'm in one, and it's called Steel
Nice.
Frontier, and it's on Amazon Prime for free.
Nice.
Or the Film Rise app. Film Rise bought all of PM Entertainment. So, in the world of low budget places, right? You had Full Moon for horror, and you had Roger Corman for like sci-fi and just all kinds of stuff. Troma was horror as well, like weird stuff. And then PM Entertainment just blew stuff up. So they were sort of the low budget action studio. And that's who I did
Nice.
my thing with. So Film Rise bought the catalog of PM Entertainment. So
So
tons of
wait,
their
you
movies.
did, when did you do that Steel Frontiers movie?
96, I think it was.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it was a young Huck.
It was a young Huck. It was a wee Huck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Well, that's cool. That's
That was a
awesome that you're able
blast.
to do that. I
Still,
didn't.
it's still one of my life highlights was that because it was my first film, first and only. It's how hard it can be sometimes. Speaking of dolls, like I looked up the girl in Dolls, and she didn't do much after Dolls.
Mhm.
She had, I think, maybe 2 or 3 credits, and then she was done. So
It's
you
sad
kind of
when you
never
see
know.
that.
Yeah, and you never know what life. I think she's an attorney, like a big attorney right now. It said in her thing. So, sometimes people are just like, I've got to be responsible. I got a wife and daughter now, so I can't just run off to auditions. I got to have a real job and all that stuff.
My favorite thing was I was looking because I'm a screenwriter, so I was looking for who owned the rights to a specific movie or whatever. And so I looked up the producer, found
Yeah.
her on LinkedIn of all places
Ah,
as
that
a
thing.
therapist,
Oh, really?
went to her website, went to her like, email, whatever. I was like, is this the producer of this, series? I forgot what it was, but this series and stuff. And then she was like, wow, I applaud your tenacity, but I do not own the rights to this movie. It is owned by, though it should be owned by this person and blah, blah, blah. And so she gave me the information to contact that person. I said, thank you. And I mean, she could have just not written back at all and stuff. So that was neat, you
That
know.
is good.
But it's weird to like go down that rabbit hole of like, okay, I need to find out who owns this, so I do this. I mean, you have to do it somehow unless you paid a lawyer, to do it or
It's
whatever.
funny. I tried to track down who bought PM Entertainment when they first were sold. And it was this place in Canada. I think it's called Madacy, Madacy or something like that. And I found them, right? And I emailed them and I said, hey, just, if you're interested, I heard that and this was before DVDs, like DVDs were just starting to get pressed. And I said, if you're going to put Steel Frontier out, because I had the VHS of it first, um, I'm in the movie. And if you would like a commentary, I will do it for free. And it's literally the timing was just off because they said, oh, we just actually started pressing that movie for DVD.
Oh,
Oh, and so it's
damn.
never even come out on Blu-ray, but I keep hoping now that the catalog's been done and then things like this box set get done. It'd be kind of neat if somebody did a PM Entertainment box set.
Yeah,
I mean, a
Vinegar
Roger
Syndrome.
Corman
We're
box
looking
set.
at you, you
Yeah,
know.
but my movie has to be in the box set though, or I
Right,
won't buy
right,
it.
right, right. Yeah, Steel Frontier's got to be in it,
Come on, it should be the leading movie. It's got Joe
Right.
Laura.
Because
Although
it's
and
got
Joe
you in it
Laura
anyway. I mean, it's gotta be the first.
and it had Brian James from Blade Runner and all kinds of
Oh,
stuff, and
nice.
Bo Svensson from Walking Tall fame. So it had some good names in it for sure.
Yeah, just what we just had to do for Patreon, our Patreons for what is it? For Indie Film Cafe, we reviewed Time Runner. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
That sounds so familiar. I'm
It's
sure
Mark
I've seen it.
Hamill and
Yeah,
Brian James and a couple other people, but like it was basically he goes back in time and he has to stop the this group of this like aliens from taking over the world. I mean, whatever. Sounds like every other sci-fi
I mean,
movie
like
ever
you
made.
do with aliens.
Yeah. So like, but the aliens look like humans, and then
Yeah,
whatever, and so
because your
they
budget says they have to.
most of the budget. Then they actually do. I think. Do they actually? I don't think they actually turn into like alien
What?
aliens.
Really?
I don't. Maybe they do. I don't. It was a little while since I watched it, but the point is, I watched that and we were kind of laughing about it. Brian James's career was sort of at that time, the 90s. I think it was a 90s movie,
Yeah.
93 or something. He was sort of like he was past Blade Runner. So
Oh yeah,
he
yeah.
was sort of getting to that point where he was just like, I'll take Time Runner. Which sounds
Oh, that's
very much like
exactly what he did Steel Frontier with. You could tell he was like on the set, off the set.
when I met Eric
Yeah.
Roberts, it was the same way. I met him on
Yeah.
a set of a Asylum movie. Speaking of B movies,
Oh yeah,
done an
right.
Asylum movie called Collision Earth, and I was just a private on at the camp, was it the army camp, military camp. Eric Roberts, nicest guy in the world, but he's just there, does his part, and walks out.
Yep.
Like he's
And
just
probably
there.
never sees the movie.
Probably. Oh
Yeah.
no, it was so funny because I mentioned I was like, I loved you on Suits, and he looked at me and goes, "Oh yeah, I did do that show, didn't I?"
Ah, I was
Because he
on that.
does a million things, you know. Like,
Yeah.
but so have you seen that show, Suits?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he was,
I not regularly, but like I know of it. I've seen a
yeah, he
couple.
was he was on it for like a few episodes, or whatever. And I mean, when he comes in, he's very professional. I mean, he's Eric Roberts, kind of
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you know what to expect from him as an actor. So okay, so we talked about your favorite boutique Blu-ray labels. You said Scream Factory, but Kino Lorber,
Kino
right?
Lorber is the one I like the most.
And I did a thing, like I did a video where I used all my boutique Blu-rays and I pointed out how they all of most of them are different, like have different movies for like Arrow will have like my stepmother is an alien.
Stepmom's an alien. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie by the way, but like they'll have that or they'll have like really good movies like their Arrow Academy films, Gosford Park or what is it, Gas Food Lodging, stuff like that, very indie, but you know images from Robert Altman, you know
Mm-hmm.
um stuff like
Vincent
that. And
Horn.
then they'll have like other like lower level stuff like B movie stuff or whatever. But Kino does the same thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Vinegar Syndrome is doing the same thing now because they're having really higher classy movies, and then they're the trauma stuff, and maybe a
I
little
feel
bit in
like
between.
most of their catalog is that though. Let's be honest. Like here's the thing. Vinegar Syndrome does outstanding packaging. That is like you can't argue those great boxes. The only one I've bought from them is Roadhouse. That's
Right?
really nice. But Roadhouse literally is the biggest film they've ever released.
Was
Right?
that on 4K?
Arguably, it was.
Okay, good.
And it was one of a kind, the art and all that stuff. But then there's other things like Sidekicks and Cloak and Dagger, things like that, like From Beyond. I
Okay,
mean, From
I think
Beyond,
I'm a
From
little
Beyond,
younger than you because I grew
yeah.
up on Sidekicks. Like that was I
So
was in
yeah,
karate
would
at
you
the time, so like
right?
Sidekicks is a bit of a nostalgia for me, so I had to buy
Like,
that.
see, I think Sidekicks is your Karate Kid because for me, I grew up with Karate Kid, so
I
that's
grew up with
that's
Karate Kid too, as
yeah,
well, and Karate Kid too.
and yeah, and
But
Sidekicks,
ain't
which was
Sidekicks
later.
and Three Ninjas.
Yeah, see, those were a little bit after, so those I don't have connection to.
Yeah, you don't have connections with
But
Surf Ninjas.
no, I know of it. But see, that's the thing though. Even not having a connection, I know that those are still lower. Those aren't even on the level of Karate Kid. I mean, like you can love those as much as Karate Kid, but it's not like it's a title that's that big of a title.
Well, Karate
So that
Kid made those movies, like
yeah,
kid movies
yeah,
like that. Magic Kid? There was a movie called Magic Kid. He did not
Magic
know
Kid.
magic at all. He was Ted Jan
Right.
Roberts. Do you remember that kid? He did a lot of like he did a lot of but he was a karate guy. And at the end of the movie, he had a scene with like Don the Dragon Wilson or whatever,
Wilson. Yeah, yeah.
and it was great, but it was terrible. It was obviously a Karate Kid ripoff. It was
Rip off.
Magic
Yeah.
Kid,
Oh yeah.
Skateboard Kid, you know. Just put
Mm-hmm.
anything with kid in the title at that time.
Right. And
And
it's a hit.
It was a hit. It's like Amityville now, you know,
Oh my God. Or Exorcist.
Exorcist
So yeah,
or
the Pope,
Shark,
Exorcist. Yeah, Shark. What is Sharknado?
whatever, Shark something, like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You just go, oh my God, there's a shark on Tubi. Let's
Oh
watch
my
it.
God. I just saw Meg 2 yesterday. So yeah, I know.
I My friend was telling me he was like, he wanted to come over at some point and watch Touch of Evil. So he was like, "You want to do that?" It's like I was thinking of watching the Meg 2, and I was like, "I'll I'll wait for you to come over to watch Touch of Evil sometime because
Yeah.
I have no desire to go see Meg 2. I have Meg 1 in 4K, and I'll probably buy Meg 2 on 4K because I'm a
Yeah.
completist kind of guy. Like if if yeah, and it does sound like something that might be fun on 4K, but it's not something I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I need to get today, or whatever. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it'll
I did
probably
I have
be on the
the
Black Friday sale.
yeah, I
Mm.
have the Regal pass, so I every movie I go to is free. So I'm trying to use the card up as much as I can before like I'm off. Um, when I have a little time. So like I want to use that card. So
Mm.
yesterday I was off, so I'm like, let's go see the Meg. So
I had that card, and a couple months ago, maybe 3, 4 months, maybe even longer, I got rid of it, and it was such a pain in the ass to like to get rid of, by the way. Like
oh
I did it
really?
through the app and like they were not like I wrote to them and emailed them and said, please take me off because there was no like how most of those things they say, you
Yeah,
can
it
cancel
says cancel
cancel
your auto
anytime.
renew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Well, they didn't give me that option anywhere. So I had to
Right.
like, yeah, I had to actually email them. And then when I emailed them, the first time I emailed them before, they never got back to me. And I got another $20. And I was like, instead of arguing with them and trying to, I was like, I'll just watch, some more movies. And then I started getting really pissed. So I wrote to them and said, please take me off. Like I'm done, right now.
Yeah.
Like and I did that for that in my Busch Gardens because because you have to use that for a whole year before they would allow you to cancel.
Right.
And so I was
Wow,
like,
what a deal. Or
yeah,
what an
well,
ordeal, I should say.
yeah. And and then I ended up canceling there and I'm going back in the fall, I think. I'm going to start it up again. So I'll have to wait another year and do it the whole year. But I'm fine with that because, I kind of missed it, but,
Yeah,
like, I don't know if you go, but like, I guess you're on the West Coast, right?
correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if you're in California or that area, but,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm near Six Flags, stuff like that.
oh
So
yeah. So you probably got a Six Flags pass or something, but you also
yeah,
have
we've
family.
had we've had those year passes. In fact, we just canceled, but we kept paying during COVID to keep them alive. And by doing that, they said, okay, so whenever you cancel though, you'll get an entire year from that day for free because you
Oh,
paid
that was
well,
nice.
because we paid for a year for to not go. So yeah, even though we just canceled, we're good until the summer of next year. Almost till September of next year. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's
I mean, our
nice.
daughter goes a lot, so she's keeping her pass. We just canceled ours because we don't go as
You
much.
don't go as much as she does. Yeah.
Now she's
But
a 16-year-old now, so she just wants to go with her friends,
yeah,
and have
they don't need their parents. What?
yeah, stinky old people hanging around.
It's gotta be weird though, because at one point you're like, "Oh, I love it," and now you're like, "Yeah, you can go."
Oh
Probably,
yeah, I'm
right?
like, all right, well, just let me know when to pick you up.
Yep,
We,
yep, exactly. That's
yeah,
how I was when I was a kid. Just like, I'd tell my parents like they'll have to. It's a pain in the ass at Busch Gardens. I don't know how it is at Six Flags to pick people up, but anyway, I just can't wait to go to the Hollow Scream stuff, and everything, which is the
yeah.
Halloween type things, or whatever in September.
Oh, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, those are more fun than the regular stuff, which because I don't really know a lot of friends who have passes to Busch Gardens, so like I literally go alone, and
Oh yeah,
that's like the worst. It is because you feel like such a creeper, being like a 41-year-old guy walking
Yeah,
around with like little kids and, 16-year-old girls, things like that
yeah.
walking around. You're like,
Or you look like you've lost your kid. Like, look at that old guy. He lost his
he
kid,
lost his kid. Where'd his kid
but he
go?
seems rather happy about it. Just
Yeah, he seems like. Well, generally people are drinking at that place, so
oh, there you
you know,
go.
so
There you
it's
go.
founded by beer company.
Oh yeah, right. Busch Gardens.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is so funny. Real quick before we get back to the physical media
Yeah,
stuff chat that we're having. Did you, and this is sort of to with movie stuff or television stuff, but did you know that they were originally going to have a part there, like Fox came to them and asked if we could have, they could have like a ride or two or something for Duff Gardens and have like a Duff Gardens area
really.
and everything because
Huh.
Duff Gardens is pretty much what Busch Gardens is and stuff. And they're gonna have a Simpsons ride. Busch Gardens said no. They told them
Oh
no.
man.
If Yeah, which is kind of a bummer, but I think then they took it to like Disney or somebody else. So Six Flags, somebody has Simpsons stuff. And
Well,
so,
the
but
Universal has a whole Simpsons land at the bottom. So
that's
they have a yeah, they have the Simpsons motion ride, which used to be Back to the Future, now it's Simpsons. And then all the shops down there look like Moe's Tavern, the Android Dungeon. It's so great. It's like the comic book popped off and came out. And they have the Quickie Mart, where, Apu used to work until they got rid of the
That's what they
character.
asked Busch Gardens to do first. They
Is that
went to
right?
them first, and then they said they wanted to do that. And Busch Gardens said no. And it actually makes more sense. And I'm kind of glad that they said no because it is like it's a theme park. So having that random thing inside a a
Is
themed
weird.
park would be a
Yeah.
little weird. If they had one ride that was like a Simpsons ride, like I could understand that, but like I think what you said with Universal is exactly what they wanted, which is they wanted their own like piece of Duff Gardens. So if people went, they could be like, "Oh my God, this is like going to Duff Gardens," being in the world of The Simpsons. And it works
Yep.
more for Universal, which is a movie and TV
Totally, yeah. And
park.
they have that bar too, so you can go there and it's all like painted like Simpsons. It's great. And then there's like characters outside in the Duff cans, like how they wear the mascot cans.
I
Yeah.
bought some Duff. Well, it wasn't beer. It was like energy drinks or something. It's like
Hmm.
a Duff energy drink or whatever. I bought that from a guy at the comic book store. Just funny because he's the comic book guy.
Right. Worst episode ever. I actually have the Duff mug. I bought the Duff beer mug when I was there.
Oh, for
I
real?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, keep it in the freezer frosted, ready to go whenever
Oh, that is so cool. I like
the
the
urge.
was it the donuts. The little
Oh
pink
yeah.
donuts, and they
Yep.
have them at like 7-Eleven sometimes. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah, I get really excited when I see them. Yeah, I don't know. So it's funny. I'm guessing Simpsons was a big influence on you.
Yeah, I mean, I just like Simpsons. They're really good. I like Futurama too. That's a great spinoff.
Yeah, was it a spinoff or
Well, no, not a spinoff, but it's by Matt Groening. It's like
I
same
was gonna say
animation.
like it could have been a spinoff. Almost feels
Yeah,
like
there was they did do a crossover though, where the Futurama went on to the Simpsons, and I think they also did Family Guy on the Simpsons. So yeah, yeah, and,
I
and they had to change the animation style a little bit because they had to fit the color palette of the Simpsons. It's a very fascinating thing to see the Family Guy people on The Simpsons because they're drawn slightly different. Try to
I
look for those. They're very interesting episodes.
I just love how South Park would just make fun of all that anyway
Yeah, yeah,
and use their
yeah.
own voices for everybody, and
Uh-huh. Yeah,
it wouldn't
they
even
don't get
sound
this.
like the characters. They would just, you
Right.
know, uh, they would do that, and they do that because they don't want to pay, like I remember. Do you remember like Tom Cruise
I
actually
was
wanted,
just gonna say Tom Cruise, but it's like Matt Stone doing the voice, so it sounds like Matt Stone.
right? But did you know Tom Cruise actually wanted to come on the show?
Really?
There was a
I didn't
commentary
know that.
track where Trey Parker and Matt Stone were talking about how I think it was a commentary track. This is how I think I remember hearing it, but like Tom Cruise wanted to come on the show, and they're like, "Oh, you'll be dog number three." And so his agent wrote back and goes, Tom Cruise is too busy of a person to come on your show and just be dog number three. He needs to be a, blah, 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 big part. And they're like, no, dog number three doesn't get the part, like kind of thing.
Yeah,
Guess who got that
figuratively.
part?
Who?
George Clooney.
Ah,
Because
really?
yeah, if you watch like one of the first episodes, he plays like a dog who just goes rough, rough, and it's credited as George Clooney. And
But that's hilarious.
yeah, George Clooney didn't care. He thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I get to play
Well,
like a
and
dog or whatever.
the thing is though, I bet you Tom Cruise wouldn't have cared either, but agents when they're the middleman, so they can ruin that for the actor. Like Tom was probably like, I would have done the dog. You know what I mean? But they probably stepped in and said, no, he's not going to do that.
That's my favorite quote from Kevin
And they
Smith
wouldn't.
is
Yeah.
him talking about Johnny Depp and how Johnny Depp actually told him, do not go to my agent, just call me directly and I'll for any role that you have for me. Because my agent will just say no to
Oh,
anything that's not, pay you be $20 million, or
right.
whatever. And he's like, I like these movies. Like I like doing goofy shit, like he's an actor.
I think they need that. You know, when you carry a huge multi-million dollar thing, it's heavy weight on your shoulders. So yeah, if you could just be dog number three, I think they would love that, you know?
I mean, it is, but like, I also respect the show Entourage for showing me, like, in a
Yeah.
way that like agents need to make money too, like in a way. And if if their client is always taking things that make no money, the
Yeah.
the agency makes no money, which means nobody makes, like
Yeah.
they
And
can't.
then they'll drop that actor and get a new one.
Yeah, well, sadly, that is true.
Inevitably. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, wow. All right, back to physical media because that's
Fantastic tangent.
I know. Well, it's fun sometimes to go off on things, especially things you enjoy, which is movies and TV. So it's all
Absolutely.
same.
Yeah.
It's not like we're talking about clothes, the whole
Yeah.
time or
No.
jewelry,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. Um, but yeah. So you're also a big Criterion lover, as well. When did you get into Criterion?
I'm not probably just when I started the channel. Like, so I started this about 2.5 years ago, and I only had probably maybe one or two, you know. So I wouldn't even say I'm a huge Criterion guy. I like Criterion, but there's people with way more Criterions than me that, you know, when the sale comes on, they'll go get 10 or 15. I'm like, God, that's still 20 to 25 each. Like, you know, I
Yeah.
added up this one guy, he said he got like 40. I'm like, it's like about $1,000
Hmm.
like for movies. I'm like, no, 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 I can't do that. I'll just go out and get a couple, you know. So I like adding them here and there as the sales. Like I rarely ever get them when they're not on sale. In fact, I just got one at a thrift store. It was Chasing Amy on DVD for $1, and it was Criterion.
Sadly, they'll probably won't release that on Blu-ray because they did put out a Blu-ray for Chasing Amy,
Yep,
and it wasn't through Criterion.
I
So,
know. I have the 3 pack that's got that, Clerks, and Jay and Silent Bob. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to grab that DVD. In fact, I just made a 4 pack of it today and put the Criterion in that case with it.
oh
So
wow,
yeah, now when I go to see Chasing Amy, I see both discs and I can watch it that way.
you can watch whichever disc you want to watch.
Right on, man. I want to see bonus material or the actual movie on Blu-ray.
Right. Like, which one would you rather watch? Then the bonus material, I'm not gonna lie, some of it's great, like the deleted scenes. Some of them are actually pretty good deleted scenes.
Are they cool?
Yeah, actually, and they have introductions by Ben Affleck
Kevin.
and Kevin and Scott and all the people that do all those introductions generally. Because like back then, those guys were like a team of like, they're all like best friends and shit,
Oh yeah, they did
and
a lot
now
together.
now it's so different. It's like I I mean, I know Tusk has commentary track and stuff, so that's good. But a lot of his stuff doesn't. Like Zack and Miri didn't have a commentary track. That's kind of sad, you know.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and do you like commentary tracks when you get the movies?
I mean, I like that they're there, and sometimes I'll switch over to it if I hear that they've said something about a certain scene. But I mean, there's only so much time you have in your, I was going to say in a day, but it's really in your life. And it's like when I'm in the mood for the movie, I'm usually in the mood for the movie
Hmm.
and not the commentary. So of all the bonus things, that tends to be the least one I go to anymore. But I'm always glad it's there. So if I ever have the time to watch it and listen to it, I will. But it's
What's your first thing to go to? And
I love just the good old making ofs. Like I want to see a good solid, also what I it's disappointing nowadays is they don't just make a good hour and a half making of anymore. It's all broken down into here's the effects, here's the casting, here's the, this, then that. And it's all like 7 or 8 or 10 minute vignettes. And you gotta, when one ends, it goes back to the menu and you gotta hit play again. Because sometimes they don't have the play all feature. If
right.
you have the play all feature, then it's like watching the full thing all in one thing. I like that. But I've seen so many lately they don't even have the play all button. So you got to keep going back, and it's just like, ugh.
My,
So
my favorite thing is to do is like with that is to like right before it's gonna go to the next one, I hit main menu and it
yeah,
will generally on my 4K will generally pop up like as a pop-up,
yeah,
or whatever. And then I can go to the next one, get ready, it's about to end, click it, and
yep,
then hit the next thing. So that's the closest to play all I'm gonna get at that, for some of these. I agree, like the hour and a half making ofs are more fun. That's why like Clerks had a great making of. Even Chasing Amy, they did for their Blu-ray they did a big one. All of Kevin Smith's stuff. So I mean
yeah.
like Kevin Smith got me into making movies and stuff. So
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
yeah, I adore his stuff.
The weirdest thing though is the one thing I would love to always see, and you kind of rarely see this. Like you'll always see, here's the special effects, and here's the this, and here's the that. But casting, like I want to see like the casting director come on and tell us how we got the cast we got. That's fascinating to me. And I feel like sometimes they feel it's too pretentious to put, there's already so much attention on the actor. Why have a section on it? Well, because I heard, like, say you do the Back to the Future. We're just going to, this is a weird
Yeah, I was
example
thinking of that actually.
because you know that Eric Stoltz got it. So it would be, and they have talked about it. So again, it's a bad example because they do talk about that. But let's say they didn't. That would be a fascinating thing to hear about is that, yeah, we originally had Eric Stoltz. He's a great actor, but his comedy isn't right. So we hired Michael. And then, that becomes a very fascinating thing. And I know other things like in Aliens, Michael Biehn is in the role of another actor that was kicked off the set because he was letting addiction. It was James Remar, right? James Remar was the original Hicks, and
Wow.
that's why all the things. If you look at all the soldiers, their armor, they customize it for themselves. So whatever their character would have done, they put like little stickers or this or that, and that was all their own doing. But when Michael Biehn came in, he just wears James Remar's stuff. So whatever Remar did, that's what Bean is wearing. So that kind of stuff you hear through the grapevine after a long time.
Hmm.
But those things I think are so fascinating when it comes to casting, and we don't get enough of those. And that's what I wish we got more of.
I kind of agree. And to go back to like Back to the Future, like it's even more fascinating that like they originally wanted Michael J. Fox, like that's who they wanted.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get out of his family ties deal. Then so they went to Eric and they realized Eric's just not working. So let's go back to Michael and see if we can, do this. And my other favorite one is on Criterion. If you ever buy I Want to Hold Your Hand,
Yeah.
don't know if you have that or not,
No, I
but
don't have that.
it's Robert Zemeckis's
Beatles.
second or third movie that he
Yeah.
did, and it was produced by Steven Spielberg. There is
Right.
a behind the scenes of Robert Zemeckis, Bob Gale, and Steven Spielberg all chatting for 50 minutes about the making of the thing, and like they're literally talking about like real shit, like stuff
That's awesome.
like things that got them in trouble that all of a sudden Steve's like, wait, that happened? Like you're telling
Wow.
me this now,
Yeah. Good thing
like
it's now. Yeah.
that kind of thing. So yeah, exactly. And so it was really neat. Like it's a neat kind of thing. And I like seeing that, especially when you get somebody like Steven Spielberg, who's barely in these interview stuff
Making
that
those.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because unless it's like the old school stuff like E.T. or whatever, or Jaws. Even Jaws, I don't think he's really in that much because he didn't have a great time on that set,
Oh,
you
I
know.
know.
Mhm.
There's a great Raiders has a fantastic one because this is sort of before they just had like a documentarian who would sit you down and ask you question. Next actor comes in, the question. Steven comes in. It feels like it was literally on the fly. So all the footage, the behind the scenes footage, it's very like in the moment. And sometimes what people are saying are things that are being captured by the documentarian rather than actually having a sit down and picking their brain. And I find those super fascinating. They just don't do those like that anymore. Making ofs are very systematic, they're very routine. That's kind of why they all start to become maybe a little dull after a while because people aren't asking or doing interesting things in them anymore. So as a bonus feature, you've really got to step up the game. Like it's been kind of fun watching the bonus stuff on these arrows things because I've never
Mhm.
seen any of those before.
And so yeah, so all of a sudden it's all new to you.
Yeah, and a lot of the interviews are brand new. It says from 2023. I'm like, dang.
I watched a I watched a movie. It's just a review of it. It's called Monday Morning. It's on MVD and Entertainment and MVD Rewind. I think is
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
part of that thing. Maybe it was part of Rewind, but it's part of their stuff. And it it was not a great movie. I'm not gonna lie. This is not good. But
Not good. Not
it
not
was
good.
more fascinating. Like it's not something I'd want to trade in or give to anyone or sell or whatever, because the 50-minute, bonus with the director where he talks about being in USC and how all this stuff, blah 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 blah. That's way more fascinating to me than sometimes the movie is. Like
Hmm.
that's what I love. I love that stuff. So because it gets me in the mood. Like, oh man, now it makes me want to go out and make a 90-minute movie or something. That on the fly. Or
Right.
whatever. But I don't have his $100,000 that
Right.
he
Or
had.
connections.
You know,
Yeah.
or connection. Well, he said he just begged, borrowed, and stole from family members and
Oh
friends and,
yeah.
and
So a lot of
everything.
people got it done.
Yeah, it's like Kevin Smith, well, sold his comic book collection, and then he got a refund from a flood that like flooded all his DVD, like bunches DVD. Could you imagine? He had a lot of comics and other shit that all got flooded and
That's
everything.
sad.
That's
Yeah.
sad, but now he made enough money to buy back all of that
To
shit
buy them
and
back.
more.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. Anyway, to go back to like Arrow too. Arrow, like, and have you ever been to like a horror convention or anything like that?
Oh yeah. In fact, I went to a Fangoria convention once because Kane Hodder was going to be there, and oh, I forgot to mention Kane Hodder is also in Steel Frontier,
Nice.
uh, and because I worked with him, I wanted to get him to sign my copy of Steel Frontier movie poster. I had the people at the studio give me some posters of the movie, and of course, he recognized me and we just started chatting and he signed it for free because, that was nice. And when we got there, though, my wife at the time, she was just my girlfriend. She was just like looking super fly for some reason. She had this big pink fuzzy hat on and a fuzzy pink scarf. And this guy came running up and he could have sworn she was like a horror girl. And he goes, "Are you telling? Follow me." And she's like, I'm like, "Yeah, just follow her." And so we almost got in for free until sort of like panic set in. She's like, "Oh no, I'm not on a movie." But I was like, "Oh, we were that close, man," because we probably would have gone in and he would have said, "What's your name?" And then,
Yeah.
we would not have been on the list. And then he said, "Okay, well, you're not supposed to be here." So anyway, but it was very funny to get to skip the line temporarily, thinking that I
Temporarily.
was a
Almost,
celebrity.
almost there.
Almost. I told her next time if you ever get mistaken as a celebrity, just roll with it, like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, yeah, just like Ghostbusters. If
Next
you're a
time they
god,
ask you, you say yes.
yes. Anytime they ask you if you're a celebrity, you say yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. What is it? Kane Hodder, man, he is one of the best people at the conventions. Like
He's a
he,
super dude. Yeah. I love
yeah,
convention.
and he, the first time I ever met him was at Texas Frightmare in 2010. It was my first convention, and I was going up the elevator to go to my room, and he came in and was like, hold the elevator, almost like crushed him, right? And he got in, and everything. And then he tried the door and it wouldn't shut or whatever. And he goes, I don't know why this elevator doesn't like me. And I looked at him and goes, maybe he's scared of you. And he looks down at me and goes, "Mhm."
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just
Cool.
kidding.
Yeah. Cool.
And
I know
he
you
just
thought.
starts laughing because like he knew.
Yeah. Because he's
Like,
Kane.
yeah, he was so nice the whole weekend. And then I since then I've been to many other like that was my first. Every other convention I've seen Kane at, he always recognizes me,
Oh,
always
excellent.
says hello, and always because he charges now like some for used to be free for pictures. Now he charges, never charges me. Shh.
Oh, that's nice, though. That's great.
Yeah.
It's
I
funny
always get
when you get
yeah.
that connection.
Yeah,
I
well, I
don't know
mean
if you,
we've had moments in there that were like he tried to steal my wallet.
well, there you go.
Like Back to the Future. He tried to steal my wallet,
Yeah. He
once
just
at a
throws the money
bar.
back at you and keeps the wallet.
Yeah. I
I
Now
don't
that I'm
want your
thinking about it, it
stuff.
might have been gone. I don't think I had money on me of like
Yeah.
a credit card, but like this guy comes up to me and was like, hey, you left your wallet on the bar. And I go, oh, thanks. It's like, yeah, Kane wanted to keep it, but we
We encouraged him to not.
we gave it back to you.
Yeah,
I was
there's
like,
a do you know the cartoon Jimmy Neutron?
yes.
Okay, so the girl that does Jimmy Neutron, Debbie Derryberry, she's a popular voiceover actor. Her and I, like, we did theater together in the early days when I was out here. So we're good friends and all that stuff. And every time I see her at a convention, it's so funny because she has a long line of people like waiting to see her and sign her autograph. And I just get near her booth and she's like, Huck. And she runs around the booth, gives me a big old hug. And we take a picture together. And she goes, and I tell her bye. I'm like, look, you're busy. I'll catch you later. And then I walk away. And you can just see all the dudes in line just like, who the hell's that guy? It's just funny because, I like,
That
I
was
like,
like with me and Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp. Like
yeah,
I know her personally and stuff. Like, we used to chat on the phone
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. And so I saw her like she has a huge line, like,
Oh, yeah.
through like whatever. And she's signing and she saw me walk by and she was like, hey, Jonathan. Actually, the best freaking celebrity I ever got to meet, and he's like my favorite of all time now, just because of how cool he was
Uh-huh.
Lachlan Monroe from like Dead Man on Campus and
Oh,
Scary
yeah.
Movie and stuff like that. I don't know if you know who he is necessarily. He's also in like Riverdale and a
Oh,
bunch of other
yeah. Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's super nice and like he was gonna come to my screening for my movie, but unfortunately he said, and I believe it, he had a last minute audition he had to prep for,
Oh, okay.
or something like, script that came in, he had to read it and stuff. And so that took his whole night. And I didn't see him down at the bar or anything, so it wasn't like he was lying to me or something. I'm
Right.
pretty
He's
sure,
boozing it up.
yeah, he's
Uh-oh.
boozing it up and like hanging out with Shalon Simmons, from was it Dale and Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh,
You never seen that
yeah.
movie?
I heard about that. I've not seen it.
Great movie. But she was in a bunch of stuff, but she was really cool too. So it was a like I love going to conventions.
Oh, I did too. I can't wait
But
to
the
go to another one.
but the reason I brought it up is because Texas Frightmare sometimes has the Arrow people. I think
Oh,
they still
yeah.
do. Yeah, and they had Arrow and Vinegar Syndrome. So I,
Oh,
and they're like pretty much what they charge for like half off, Barnes and Noble sale. So like $20. But generally they know like people like me have like $200 that we're just gonna be spending on movies and stuff. So we just go, I'm gonna buy $100, dollars worth movies here and $100 movies over over at the Vinegar
Yeah.
Syndrome and just pick up a whole junk load.
Yeah,
But
it's like, how many can you give me for this much? That happened to me at Full Moon. I was at the Full Moon table, and it was on a Sunday, and they were ready to go. And the deal was, if you buy 8 movies for $60, which is a pretty good deal for Blu-ray, you get their online service for free, which
yes,
is
I remember that.
$60. Like the service is $60. So you either look at it as you bought the service and they gave you 8 movies for free, or you flip it around. Either way, you're getting one for free.
You're getting
And
something
so
for
when
free.
I was there, they just kept loading movies. I'm like, here, try this one. How about that? It's like I walked out with like 13 movies on Blu-ray, or like,
Wild Eye did that with me. Do you know Wild Eye Releasing?
no, who's that one?
Okay, so they're very low budget. Like they
Yeah,
mainly do DVD. They have a few uh was it they have a few Blu-rays. They do like they do Velocipaster or they put out
that's a great title.
have you
Probably
ever
not
seen
a
that
good
one?
movie, but I know I've seen the trailer for it, and I was like, no.
Or there's
But I love
Clown
the title,
NATO.
Clown NATO. Shut up.
Yep, it's a
Wow.
Clown
All
NATO. It's
right.
literally
I guess you can put
it's
anything in a NATO now.
oh, trust me. What was the other one? There was something else NATO that was like recent, and I was like, that's a thing on Tubi. You know, like it's just weird. Tubi will sh give you like if you want the lowest of the low, go to Tubi because
Yeah.
they'll put almost anything on there.
You know,
Um,
when sci-fi was making all those great mashups, like, giant octopus versus shark, sharktopus or whatever.
Sharktopus
Yeah, I thought of the greatest one. I go, I have it. I'm gonna go to Corman or whoever is making these. I have the movie, and it's Piranhaconda. I thought that was the greatest title ever. And then about 6 months later, guess what came out? Piranhaconda. I was like,
by Jim
oh,
Wynorski.
yeah, you know it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the guy who did Return to Swamp Thing.
there you go. See, I
Yeah.
came out with that like long before I even knew it was a thing or coming or whatever. But I'm sure they all do that. They all like sit in a room and riff mashups of things that roll off the tongue, and
Yeah,
piranha.
Piranhaconda. Or maybe they stole it from you.
Maybe they did. Maybe they heard me drinking, with somebody at the bar during a convention.
The Piranhaconda. Wait, that's a
Yeah, hey
great
guys, said
idea.
piranha. Write it down.
There's I have this like conspiracy theory that there are people from like B movie companies that just go and scout out titles that they overhear from people at bars or other things. So if you come up with the title and they overhear it, they go out and they say, "Let's go make this,"
We
because
got the best. Hey boss, we just came up with a great title.
we just came up with a great title. We
Yeah,
did not hear from this guy for a bar.
just
No, no.
now, just now.
Yeah. But no, like I think I swear to God, I feel like people are scouting stuff because I'll have a great idea for a movie and then all of a sudden it'll be out and I'll be like, what the hell? Like
You're like, hey.
stole my idea. How did that happen? Or we all have the same ideas because there's
Well, yeah,
only
they
so many.
say if it's a good idea, odds are some other people have it too. So
Right.
apparently,
Like if you
Piranha was
can think
gold.
it, somebody else has probably already thought it,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which kind of sucks, to think about.
Right.
Don't you want yeah, you want you want to be the most original person in the world, don't you? You know?
I just wanted to be in Piranhaconda. That would have been
Really?
great. Why not?
So somebody already made it, so you weren't able to go, "Hey, cast me." Like,
Yeah, I have this idea, but you got to put me in it. Oh no, we already made it. Son of a.
yeah, oh man. That's how they get you. They're like, we already made, but you can watch it and review it for free.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, right now I can't review anything because a SAG. Being a SAG actor, I can't review movies. That's why I can't review movies right now when I
Oh,
go to the
for
theater.
real?
Yeah, I usually do my out of the movie reviews. So I kept trying to think, how can I fake that? Like Meg too, if I could come out and go, okay, I can't review it, but here it goes. Shark, hey, Statham, all right. You know what I mean? Like,
You
I mean, I
can't
could
do it.
try
That
something like that.
sucks, man.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not SAG, so and
Are you
not right.
WGA?
I'm not even WGA yet.
Okay. All
So
right.
I'm
Yeah.
nothing. I'm nothing. I'm not no union affiliate. But there's that like idea that if you do these things, you're a scab, you know? So I'm like, so how many of those YouTubers out there that are that do what exactly what we do, that collect movies and talk about them and everything. How many of them that do the reviews are actual like wannabe actors or maybe are, I didn't even know you were SAG, so that's crazy that, you can't do
Yeah.
the reviews. So, but I still see a bunch of people doing reviews. I think what I've been told is you can do old reviews like if you
Yeah.
review like something Kino Lorber put out that was old, you can review that. You just can't do anything, like you said, you can't come back from Meg 2 and review that necessarily. You're not
Yeah. Like
supposed
I
to.
just reviewed The French Connection 3 days ago because that's an
Yeah,
older movie. So I'm not promoting anything. I'm not promoting anything that's new. You can't
right.
really be out there promoting work for actors. So
Wait, so how does that work with when you go out and pick up a movie, or whatever, say a new one, like say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, can you
yeah.
not actually promote it?
No,
Like,
I mean I can do that because I'm in essence that's just a shopping video. Being
right.
cut to the chase, like that's just me shopping for stuff, and it just happens to be that title. But
But you can't
you
review it.
know, I can't really review it. Yeah, I can't break it down, and I can't talk about the acting in it and the directing and all that. It's just more like, hey, look what I found in the store today. I'm gonna buy it. So that's okay.
Now, being a SAG member and everything, I mean, if you want to get into that at all, but what is your feelings on this?
Oh, I mean, 100%. It's I voted for it to do it because it's like if things keep changing in the world of show business and how for a while there was no rerun, so people didn't get residuals. Then they had to negotiate for that because hey, there's reruns and the suits are getting paid and nobody that worked on it is getting paid. And then cable hit, so then cable there had to be a deal with cable, and then streaming is here, so and then digital, so every time there's something new there needs to be something that reflects that. You can't just keep screwing the talent that made it happen, including directors, writers, everybody that should get a little piece of those things. And like Netflix, since Netflix technically makes something and it's done, are there rerun rights to that? Because it's like it's just always accessible to you, so that's not really a rerun. You just watch it on your own time.
That's
So
true.
but still, say for every Stranger Things there's like 10 shows that don't get rewatched like Stranger Things. So those people don't get anything, but the Stranger Things cast do because they get watched more. So that becomes the situation where, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's what we need to think about. Like, that's what we got to talk about. That's what's out there. And streaming is just kind of what's here now. So we have to figure out a plan now so that every time all this stuff is showing on streaming, only like the studios are getting money out of it. So
Right.
it's just what happens at every iteration of a new format. So,
But I feel like
so
the
yeah,
streaming companies are worse because there is so much money apparently in it, or whatever. Like you see like David Zaslav, like, and you saw like, I don't know, there's a lot of people talking about how much money he makes per year and everything, as opposed to like regular people,
oh, absolutely,
actors or
yeah,
whatever. And so it's ridiculous because I mean, I understand he has a company, like a huge freaking
yeah.
company he has to be in charge of. Like, I get it. Like, he should be getting a lot of money, but should he be getting so much more and then not giving money back? Or I think you guys are also fighting for health care, and I think that's a really
Oh,
big
yeah, that's huge
deal.
because 87% or whatever the number is now of most actors are paycheck to paycheck, right? Because
Right.
they're all the guest stars that appear on all these shows. So it's the ones who have regular things are very lucky. And you also have to make, oh God, what is it now? Like, I when I was doing Steel Frontier, you had to make about 13,000 a year to
Oof.
be eligible, just to be eligible for the insurance. Now it's like 27, 27. I don't know hardly any actors that hit that number, 27,000 a year
Wow.
to, and if you don't hit it, you could be at 26.99 and you will not get insurance. And
And
then
you
it,
wonder why Eric Roberts takes 10, projects,
yeah,
a year.
absolutely. And then it starts all over again. So, yeah, so it's just, they're part of this union that creates stuff for all of us to enjoy and watch and stuff. And they just want to have insurance. They, because if they're broke because they're in between gigs, they still need something to keep them going and
Mm,
healthy. And so, yeah, so that's a big thing is the insurance too.
yeah, I didn't know about the cost and all that stuff because that's just ridiculous. But like I was trying to explain to somebody like like Walmart, should they just give you insurance, like if you work there for like 3 to 5 months or whatever it is,
Right, you're in.
you got insurance, they just want to make sure you actually stay with the company and don't just take the insurance and run, or whatever. But like, they you put some time in, you get the insurance, you're done. And so that should be a thing for everybody, like period, but no matter what. But the actors, the
Wow.
problem is that actors are freelance. You
Yeah.
do a project, unless you're a part of Stranger Things and you're doing that for the whole year, and then you're, brought back the next year, you know what I mean? And then, you're there for a few seasons and then you get really old and then you're
Yeah.
playing,
And then you can't
or
come
you're
back,
20-year-old and you're playing like you're 12 still, like
which never stops Hollywood from pulling that off.
uh 20-year-olds like that's what cracked me up about that Monday morning movie is like I had Jason Lively in it. And this is like past was it not Christmas, European Vacation. 'Cause he was Rusty,
Yeah. Yeah, he took over the
and
Rusty role.
yeah, and then later he goes and plays this and he's like still supposed to play a teenager. I'm like
Yeah.
I
That's
was
like all
laughing,
the
but
actors on Grease are like 20 plus, you know.
yeah, Dawson's Creek, everybody, you know,
Right.
too old. But when I was a kid, I bought it, like I was
Of
like, oh,
course.
teenagers. When I got an adult, I'm like, scary movie might have something, might be saying something serious about this. Like, because it was the first time I ever like thought about it. Like, hey, these are like 20 something year olds that,
Yeah. Wasn't
uh,
the girl, the Gabriella actor, I think that was her name, Gabriella something on 90210, you
yeah.
know, so the smart one.
Hmm.
I think she was like 30 on that
Wasn't she
show.
also the SAG person? Didn't she do stuff for SAG?
Yeah, I
She
want to
was
say
like the
she,
SAG president or something
yeah.
before
Yeah, she
Fran
was.
Drescher took over,
Yeah, she was. Uh-huh.
which
Yeah.
is so funny because I'm like, she's, I mean, I liked her on Beverly Hills 90210, but like, yeah, she was like the oldest person on that show. And on top of that, she was kind of like no offense, but she was sort of like the one I just least remembered on the show. Like, she didn't
Yeah.
have all the cool storylines, sadly.
No, they didn't write for her as much, it felt like.
No, it's kind of like Melrose Place. They give like certain people the same keep producers, but it was like some people would get less and less stuff because,
Yeah.
they were like just not as interesting as these certain stars that are,
Oh yeah.
Heather
Yeah.
Locklear
It's
always
whoever's
got the
hot.
best stuff.
They write
Yeah,
for whoever's hot.
exactly. But yeah, so the SAG fight, I guess nobody can say when this will be, settled, but do you think it'll be settled next couple months, or do you think it's going to go for like the whole rest
I
of the
mean,
year?
the thing is, the people like Bob Iger and people like that, they keep saying, "Oh, we're just gonna sweat those actors out. We'll make them, we'll wear them down," which is a horrible thing to say on camera, which they've done. And it's like, no, because actors are used to not working. So they're very scrappy. It's like if they're not working, they probably have a waiter job or something like that. So guess what? They're going to wait you out. And then what's going to happen is while they're trying to feel like they have the upper hand, they're not going to have the upper hand, and then they'll get fired because the shareholders are going to start losing money, and you don't, once you start losing money for your shareholders, you're out of work, Mr. Super Billionaire. So all those big billionaires who are saying we're going to wait you out, they'll be out of a job by the end of the year if they don't come up with something. So
Uh,
to their benefit, it needs to be resolved in a couple of months.
a friend of mine was
So,
saying that like there are some agencies that are out of work right now. Like they're basically they can't they can't even survive because like they that was that we go back to talking about when I talked about Entourage, but like that was their bread and butter is their
yeah.
actors, and without them, they can't survive. And if they can't survive, they can't represent the actors who are, that's there was that whole big thing about the did you see the Sarah Silverman issue?
No.
So Sarah Silverman went on Instagram to just basically talk about how she didn't understand why some actors were actually working. There's like the
Oh, yeah.
interim
Yeah.
projects and stuff. I don't know if you saw that or her talk about that, but she was like made this whole big video, and then apparently Fran Drescher and whoever the co-head of, SAG sat her down and explained everything to her after this big actual this blew up and became a
Yeah.
big deal and kind of explained to her what's going on exactly. And you know and she came back and she still thought that was sort of scabbing, is like, even though it's allowed by SAG, it shouldn't be, because like you all are striking right now, you guys should be picketing and letting people know that you can't work right now. So if you are working, even if it's on a, like A24 is doing a film with big stars like Gina Ortiz is in one and stuff like that. And so they're actually out there still making movies. But it's not with AMPTA. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not with the
Motion pictures.
guilds
Yeah.
and everything from, like, it's not the producers, the company studios, the big studios. It's A24 is still an independent company, and everything. So independent films can get made on that level, on that scale. But she thought that they shouldn't do that. Do you kind
Yeah,
of
I
agree
mean,
with that?
it does seem there's gray area. There was some, like, I forget the name of it, some Christian show that had was it Nickelodeon? I forget, but there was some show that was also had the go ahead to continue shooting because they had some deal that was already made prior or
Yeah,
something.
apparently Nickelodeon is not run by that by his it's not one of those is part of that studio. So Disney is, but Nickelodeon isn't. Interestingly enough, it's not a AMPTA, company. I am saying that completely wrong. I can
Yeah,
tell, but when I'm saying it, because it's hard. It's like a bunch of letters, random letters.
I got you.
Um, but I I was like, wow, just and first I thought she was being completely wrong, because it's like the, a lot of these people still need to eat, like, and still need to work.
Yeah,
And even though Jenna Ortiz may be rich probably from the Scream franchise and, well, not Dexter. Was it Dexter?
was
It
she on
was,
that? Yeah.
yeah, all those things. She's been in, yeah, it was You. It was the show You, that she was in. She was in all these different things. Wednesday, she's really big, but I don't think
Oh, you mean Jenna Ortega? You're saying Jenna Ortiz?
Ortega. Did I say Ortiz? Jane.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you
Jenna
said Ortiz.
Ortega.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
Ortiz, is that the other girl in Scream? That's who I thought you were talking about.
Wait, was she in Scream? Was she in a
Well,
Scream?
Jenna Ortega's in Scream, and then
Okay,
isn't or now mix them up. Isn't Ortiz the last name of the other girl in Scream?
probably. But
That's
yeah,
what
that's
you're
that's probably where I completely. But I think there is a girl named Jenna Ortiz, and I'm just or
exactly.
something like that. I don't.
Yeah, but then when you said Scream, I'm like, oh, I think you're talking about Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega. Yeah, but she's a really big actress, and and she's out there. I don't think. I think she still needs to get paid, or whatever. Like her money's gonna, run dry if she has. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and so I don't know. It sucks, but hopefully you're right. Hopefully in the next couple months, like it'll get resolved. But I don't know what, like, I don't know. They'll have to make it fair, right, for all parties. and that I think is the
The
like the
hard
root
part.
of the problem
Well,
is
they always say too, if both parties walk away a little upset, then both sides win. You know what I mean? Like the answer is going to be not happy for both sides, but it's good enough that it's a win across
for
the board.
everybody.
So
Yeah.
if both the parties are slightly unhappy, you did good.
Yeah, you still
You did
win,
good.
but it's like
You need
it
something.
it's gonna be tough because like I was trying to think somebody was talking to me about it. Was like, what do you know, what would you do kind of thing, and what would be your plan? And I I was like thinking to myself, I don't know.
No,
Like,
that's out of my brain
yeah,
pan because
like
there's so many factors in that. There's just
yeah, and stuff we don't even know.
no.
Like
Yeah.
we're not in charge of that shit. So like there's so much shit that needs to be handled by SAG and the WGA and the studios that make it all fair, but like the problem is they're going to write up a thing, say, here you go. You're going to read it all and say, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. You know what I mean? And then they're going to go try to do it again. And then they're going to go, well, what do what would you do? Blah, blah, blah. Right? And then they'll eventually, hopefully, come to an agreement.
Yeah.
And
And I know a lot of people like to say, well, it's irrelevant. Guys like, we'll just use Tom Cruise as an example. He's a multimillionaire. He doesn't need this contract. I'm just like, well, no, that's not true. Tom definitely needs the contract because when you employ somebody like Tom Cruise, just by having that one guy who's the bankable millionaire, you employ thousands of people that now get their insurance, food on the table, a job for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? So,
right,
yes, Tom doesn't need the money, but you need Tom to be on that movie for everyone to get a job. Right. And I'm
mm,
just using him an example. It's any other bankable, whether it's Spielberg or whatever, whoever those bankable people are, they're out of work. Right. But as soon as they get work, we get work. So, yes, the deal affects everybody, even the rich
exactly.
people, because
Yeah.
the rich people
Well, I
help
mean,
the
Tom, I'm
non-rich.
sure wants the fruits of whatever everybody else gets too. Like he's,
Yeah.
all of it helps everybody. Like so it benefits everybody, even the rich people. They're gonna get more rich.
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
Because they'll get
with
their points on the back end. Yeah.
I know, like, I mean, they're gonna get the residuals and other things and stuff from streaming, and they're gonna get I mean, for Tom, probably the healthcare, you could probably get that in like a day of work, 1 day of work, get some of that
Yeah.
healthcare like
Oh,
line.
I'm sure he always has the health care. He doesn't have to
I think
sign
that's
back
just
up
in his
for it.
contract, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's fine.
But he has his whole thing in his whole house and everything. He
He's all
probably
right.
has
Yeah.
his own doctor who comes in and,
Yeah, yeah.
you
He's
know,
good.
you're right. But that's the thing. He's able to do that stuff otherwise, others wouldn't. So I'm just glad you're out there, and, still doing anything. Are you auditioning? Have you been trying to,
Oh
well, I
no.
mean, not now, but
Yeah.
had you been before the strike?
No, no, no. I've been an editor really for the last 15 years. So that's what puts food on my table is I work a lot in casting now. So I've been working on Master Chef for 12 years, as one everybody knows. But I do a lot of game shows too. Password, Lego Masters, Truth or what is that? I'm all blanking on it, but I mean, just tons of stuff. I work on a lot of stuff, a lot of Food Network stuff. So, guys, grocery games, things like that. Anything that's a baking championship, I've probably worked on those.
My mom
So,
watches those.
yeah, yeah, my wife watches those. So, yeah, my name will pop up at the end of many shows for
Mm,
casting. If
for
again,
casting. How do
if we
you
get the
cast a baking show?
because okay, so there are casting producers who reach out, and they have assistants as well, that reach out to all sorts of websites and Facebook groups and all that, wherever they go, and find people that are bakers. We'll just use baking as a thing, and then they'll reach out, call them, and sometimes they've applied. Like if they're big baking fans, at the end of each baking championship there's a thing that says, if you'd like to be on the next one, apply now. And so all those people send an application. So then you've got thousands of applications that you can rifle through. And then our people call them. And then sometimes they always think it's a scam because it's like, what? Who are you? You're with a TV show, right? And we're like, and we have to reassure them, no, remember when you applied? Yeah, that we're that show. And then eventually they get interviewed. And then they, we find out their credentials for food, make sure they are who they say they are, right? And then I get that interview and I cut that interview up into 2 minutes or less, making them seem fascinating because the executive producers have no, attention span. So it's got to be short. And then from those reels, we decide, hey, Jonathan, we like you. Now you get another interview with the execs. And then that's your chance to either win or lose, right? Like my job was to get you looking good and get taught and get seen by the executives. Now it's out of my hands and it's in your hands. So it's your game to lose at that point. So when they call you back and say, hey, we want another interview with you and we're the guys that make it happen, you got to bring your A game. Right. And so everybody that brings their A game and really wants to get on that show, those are the people that get on. If you just think that this is easy, it's not, we see thousands of people. So people think when they get to that point, oh, it's easy peasy. And some people just come like they don't care. And we're like, you're off the show. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. We can tell it's like, oh, you weren't the same person we interviewed last week who seemed to be really eager. And now you're not. So you got to
Yeah,
weed through that, until you find the people that really want to, I don't know, win $1 million. I'm sorry. Do you just have the ability to win $1 million every day of your life? No, we're offering that to you. Show us that you care. So yeah, that's how
that's
it's done.
awesome.
Yeah.
My one of my friends who unfortunately is no longer with us, she was like one of my best friends, and
Oh,
she passed away like almost a year ago, whatever.
I'm sorry to hear
She
that.
she was on the show Scream Queens for
Yeah.
VH1,
Scream Queens.
you know, and she like at first was not doing very well on that show, but she told me like her casting process, there's like hundreds of girls, and then they kind of came in and they would do auditions, they would do all the different things that they had to audition for and everything, and then they whittled it down, and then they had, a group of girls, and she was told by somebody that worked there that was friends with her, and I'm not going to say who because I'm not
Yeah.
ratting the guy out, but he kind of gave an information that she wasn't gonna ever win. Like it wasn't anything against her, but the Scream Queens actually, and I don't even know if I'm supposed to be saying this, but I'm going to anyway, just whatever. Scream Queens had a deal with Saul, that they're gonna do the person was gonna be in the next Saul. And the producers of Saul said, we want a blonde,
Oh,
right? So every blonde, there's only two blondes on the show that they got. And I'm like, why didn't they put more blondes in there? Like
yeah.
cast more
Yeah.
blondes. Why not? But they only cast two blondes. One was not very well liked, and the other one was not a very good actress.
Oh, Lord. So you haven't given yourself a lot of options at this point.
Yeah. So by the end of it, the person who won, unfortunately, was the one who wasn't that great of an actress. And so she won. And so, but my friend who did a great job, at times she didn't, like it showed the good and the bad, you know.
Yeah.
She's still stuck in there. She was there for like, I don't know, four, no, 5, 6 episodes, something like that.
Oh, good for
Kind of like
her.
whatever it was. But I loved her. Her name's Sierra Holmes. She's a sweetheart. I miss her to death, but unfortunately, yeah, she
Oh,
unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, or
R.I.P. Sarah.
it feels like so long ago because it was sad. But she, like how I love that she told me that information and stuff because
Those are
now it
fun
makes me go,
stories.
okay, so reality shows sometimes can be fixed a little bit, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you know that too from whatever. You're there for your shows are just like, let me just get these people in there and make them happy, and then they can do whatever they want with the show, right?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of those shows I do, they're not fixed because they're game shows. So you just have to be lucky. Like game shows are just a thing of luck,
Yeah, with the
and
baking,
timing.
shows. I didn't even think of them as game shows. That's kind of interesting. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, I mean, like MasterChef is more of a reality show, but things like Password and Pressure Luck and Hustler, things like those are game shows.
no, you didn't do Prices Right.
I haven't done Prices Right, and oddly enough, it's the one that's eluded me. I haven't, although a friend of mine got on Prices Right, which is very fun.
A friend of mine also got on Prices Right,
Look
but
at there.
unfortunately, she was like the last one.
So she
So
didn't get a
like,
chance to get up.
no, she had one chance basically,
That
you
was it.
know. So that was it,
Yeah.
and then she didn't. No, she
Yeah, my
didn't get.
friend got on and won like two. I want to say like both showcases, like that's $50,000 worth of stuff, grills and all kinds of stuff. I'm like,
I wonder how
dude,
much
good for
that got
you.
taxed out.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, yeah, you do gotta, yeah, because you
yeah.
got a new car too, but you got to pay the tax on that car.
And so you gotta pay the tax on the car. So like sometimes a car costs more than, like,
You're
you
like,
know,
okay, so can I sell the other seven things that you're selling me, and then I'll use the money from that for the car?
yeah. So you're really just still buying the car,
Pretty much,
but
yeah.
in some way or another.
It is super discount.
All right, well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I love chatting with you about more than just physical media, which was neat. Because I didn't even know all that stuff about you as a actor and all that stuff. It's wonderful. There's,
Well, I'm glad
you
it
know,
was a good tangent for you.
yeah, and an editor, but like I really want you to get back into acting, dude. Like I
At
hope that
some point, I hope to, but yeah, right now, until my daughter gets out of high school, which is 2 years, then I can start kicking it back around.
right now it's like we need the money,
I
we
gotta
need the
make
work.
sure I can afford to get her out of school
Yeah, and
and into college.
tuition ain't cheap, and
No,
all
no,
that stuff.
that's not good for a freelance actor. No,
Yeah, no, exactly, man.
yeah,
Especially like, I mean, it's tough, man, because like, I know a lot of actors and you know, and the biggest thing is just finding the next project, That's you were saying like a lot of them are waiters and everything. And I my former roommate when I lived in LA, I used to live in like San Gabriel and area. And
yep,
when we were in LA, I don't know if you know where that is or not. It's over by Pasadena,
yeah,
you know, area. And so we were, she used to work at she was an actress. I say was, but she still sort of does it, but she's kind of left it. She'll
yeah,
only do it if I ask her back, or something. She doesn't really want to do that. But she was like, she worked at a restaurant and all the actors, I'm sorry, all the wait staff were actors pretty much and stuff. And I got to meet a kid guy that she had a friend come over who was this guy who acted in a TV show I'd never heard of, you know? And
yeah,
I mean, it was kind of nice because like I'm sure he gets fans who like go crazy for him. So when some dude's like, awesome. Hey, welcome. Treats them like everyday people that I'm sure he'd appreciate that more,
yeah,
but or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wanted me to kiss his ass. I don't know.
yeah,
But the point is that it's tough, man, because like all those people are out there still trying and they take those waiting jobs so that they can be able to
be ready.
to
Yeah.
be ready for whenever and
All
stuff.
I can say is keep swinging, man. If you're one of those out there, keep swinging.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much. And I guess
Yeah.
plug your stuff again. So you got your show. Tell us a little bit more about it before you head
Yeah.
off.
So I'm Huck, and my channel on YouTube is Huck's Pop Culture Cafe. It's basically just a channel dedicated to not just movies, but things that are pop culture. So I'll go out and about and do Blu-ray hunts, but I also do trivia shows on my channel. I do morning shows on Tuesday morning. As people are getting out and going to do their Blu-ray shopping, we'll talk about new releases and things like that. So yeah, just always trying to have fun things to do on my channel. Always trying to come up with something. So stop on by if you're new. Hit like, subscribe. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks, John.
definitely. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much, man. This has been wonderful. So, and pleasure to meet you
you
finally.
too.
I've
Yeah,
watched your show for a while, so it's nice to kind of see you chat about this stuff and everything. And everybody else, yeah, definitely check out Huck's show. Like, you also do like pops and other things, toys and
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
collectibles.
yeah. Sometimes I'll do some toy stuff. Yeah, that's why I try to do the pop culture cafe. So if something comes along that's not movie related, I can do that too, and it's still within the channel's theme.
And
So
that's the funniest thing about Indie Film Cafe. We started as Indie Film Cafe, where it's indie films and everything, and then it grew to like other junk. And so I just called it a network where we just had other
there you
shows
go.
and everything. It worked. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. And everybody else, check out his stuff. And I'll put a link down below so you guys can easily go to it and watch it after you watch this episode. So thank you
Yeah.
for checking out and have a good one.
Thanks a lot,
Bye.
Jonathan. Great conversation, y'all. See ya.